You're watching ChillyBoy Productions. I'm Larry, ChillyBoy Chillson, and this is my review for the Book of Clarence. Now, before we get into this review, make sure to go ahead and click that subscribe button down below so that you can chill with me on each and every one of my latest videos. The Book of Clarence is a 2024 satirical religious drama from writer-director James Seymour. A down-on-his-luck man struggles to find a better life for his family while fighting to free himself from debt. Captivated by the power and glory of the rising Messiah, he risks everything to carve out his own path to a divine life, ultimately discovering that the redemptive power of belief may be his only way out. The film stars Lakeith Stanfield, R.J. Seiler, Tiana Taylor, Omar Sy, and James McAvoy. So I saw The Book of Clarence at AMC's Screen Unseen, which is basically their version of the Mystery Movie Mondays. And although I'm an AMC A-list member, this is actually the first time I've gone to the AMC version of these mystery movies where you see a film for $5 and all you know is the rating and that it hasn't been released, basically. But I did have my sneaking suspicions of what tonight's film would be, and I was happy to be right. I thought the Book of Clarence looked really interesting from the trailers. Now, the only film I've actually seen from Seymour previously was The Harder They Fall, which I loved. So I was excited to see what he was following up with. And this kind of religious toned film seemed ripe for his directorial style. I love Lakeith Stanfield as an actor, and this seemed like it could be a pretty lone bright spot for the month of January at the cinema. And ultimately, I think The Book of Clarence is a good movie. I came out feeling positive overall about the experience, but it is quite uneven a ride to get through. But when it hits just well enough that I had a good time with it. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives first. So far and away, the biggest positive for me was Lakeith Stanfield, who not only plays Clarence, but also plays his twin brother, Thomas. Amazing. Particularly as Clarence, specifically our lead character, our protagonist of the story, he was so good. A real tour de force acting performance from Stanfield here. He's always great, pretty much in anything I've ever seen him in, and this was just another level. He excels in this type of role, really, and it all just came to shine here. R.J. Seiler was also really good in his role. Omar Sy is always a delight and really brightens up any film he's ever in. And then, of course, we get some other stacked cast cameos throughout who just kind of brighten up the story whenever they pop up. The entire acting cast is fantastic in this film. And it is a stacked cast. You're just gonna be like, oh, they're in this. Oh, they're in this. And there's a specific one where you're like, whoa, hello there, sir. I also really enjoy the messaging of the film and how race is really intertwined with the story itself. Now, the film does shine a specifically bright spotlight on the whitewashing of history in general, but in this case, specifically the story of Jesus. And one of the scenes does it very blatantly, like in your face. There's a physical manifestation of such. Low-key, I was hollering a little bit. I mean, it was wild, don't get me wrong, but it was also very funny. But more than just shining the bright light on it, I enjoyed how the film just reclaimed the story and how integral race is to this story, color is to this story. It really takes on a different kind of power that transcends time, honestly, when you have these white Romans coming into this heavily Black population and acting the way they behaved. I also enjoyed how it approached the religious themes, obviously, of the story, how integrated that was and what that looked like getting to the final arriving point. And the original score specifically was really strong. I thought it was a beautiful score to play throughout the film. So, what didn't work so well when it came to the Book of Clarence? Well, as I said, it's just very, very uneven, particularly in tone. It's just a little bit sporadic all over the place. 1 minute it is going into like full goofy satire, and then the next minute we're having this really heavy religious dialogue, and you kind of have whiplash. So while I think James Seymour had a great story to tell here, he had the great bare bones of the screenplay. It needed that focus to harness in some of the more outlandish moments of the screenplay, the more outlandish moments of the film by and large, because those are the moments that just didn't work for me. There's one thing to make a satire that also rings so true just on a religious storytelling narrative. However, the film takes it into the absurd, where we're doing really obvious things. There's a moment where he's like, "Your eyes are ruby red when you look at me," and he literally turns that person's eyes into ruby reds, and it's like, okay, we got it. I don't know, we didn't need that. People are floating. We didn't need that. Whenever there's an idea, a light bulb pops up over the head. It was too much, and it wasn't like smart. It cheapened the experience and felt more like kind of obvious hand holding to make a joke rather than letting the material just breathe and speak for itself. I also think, particularly in the first two-thirds of this film, the music that is not the original score, the music that's brought in, the actual soundtrack, lyrical music, one, it was too frequent and it was used too much. It was also a bit overbearing, and to that point, it kind of felt like for a while you're just watching a religious, well-shot music video. The music just comes so often, so frequent, and it doesn't really match what is happening, the tone and vibe of what you're watching. So it felt more like a high-end music video at stretches of this film. So the Book of Clarence offers a lot of really interesting, innovative material, but also pushes the envelope just a bit too far in that direction to where it cheapened my viewing experience. So while I appreciated so much of the film, unfortunately I found it just too tonally erratic and a bit all over the place to really love it. A film, I appreciate what it does and the risks it's taking in this storytelling, the historical significance of what it's bringing to the table and reclaiming. And obviously, the story itself is moving, but ultimately, it's one that I find myself appreciating more than actually loving as a film itself. Now, this one is sure to make all the white conservative Christians very mad, all up in their feelings. And of course, that makes me appreciate it all the more. But it's a film I would have to give a matinee at most. It's not quite tight enough to give that full price ticket recommendation, but I think it's certainly one worth seeking out and giving a watch. It's not going to be for everybody, but I do think it deserves to be seen. So that was my review for the Book of Clarence. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so that you are always up to date on all of my latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Did you see the Book of Clarence either previously or at the AMC Screen Unseen? Or are you excited to check this one out? Let me know all of your thoughts either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your continued support. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.